This whole racism thing in this day and age is bullshit. They already tried to claim that long ago, Sheree, as you know. Nobody really bought into it because the social media wasn't there and racism wasn't all that real.
I do want to tell you that I don't know what you have heard from white people, but white people do not hate black people. They are not discriminating based on color. White people are not the problem of black people at all.
Okay.
But there are not white people who hate a whole race of people. They hate what black people are doing. Most black people are brainwashed, dumbed down, angry, and they have been brainwashed to blame white people for their problems. So they are attacking white folks. There's a race war going on from black people toward white people because these people in their fallen state believe that white folks are their enemies, and they're not. I have proven that racism doesn't exist, and it has never existed. And I grew up on a plantation down in Alabama. I grew up under the Jim Crow laws, and I've realized that racism is a made-up word by the children of the lie in order to control the children of good.
So what is racism anyway?
Racism is putting down a specific group of people based off of something that's different than what the other group wants to believe.
I guess the technical definition is like having some kind of hate towards someone based on their race. And again, maybe not hate is explicit, but it's just treating somebody differently.
Racism, prejudice, discrimination, or antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior.
I've ever had anything negative. I do notice like a lot of people, I don't know, not random people, but when I first met his family, like the first thing what they would say is like, oh, how pretty I am, and like I had my hair in like 2 puffballs, so like it was natural, and they would just comment on how pretty my skin was and how pretty my hair was and like all that stuff. That was literally the first thing they would say to me, like when they first met me. So I mean, that's positive. And then around the time that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry got married, we had like 2 people come up to us. It was like a drunk guy, but he was like, oh man, this is like the Meghan Markle, like Prince Harry of America or something like that.
You know what? My mom really hasn't talked about it that much. It's not like a big deal.
Yeah. A few months ago, like we obviously we were married and everything, and I was on the phone with her, and then Aaron was in the background, and I think Aaron said hi, and she just goes, hey white boy, or like something like that.
It was a little belittling, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, so, okay, I am Hispanic, but I also am very light-skinned. And that's something that's been difficult in some parts because I take a lot of pride in my culture. I love being a Hispanic woman. But sometimes I've felt a struggle to fit in completely with Hispanics or completely to fit in with Americans. And I just remember, like, when I was a kid, my mom, like, a lot of my siblings don't, like, have the exact same skin tone as I do. Like, they're a lot, like, you know, they look more Hispanic than I do, I guess. But I remember, like, one time my mom, when she was talking to us, she kind of was telling me, like, Rebecca, you're so lucky, like, you're, like, lighter skinned or whatever. Like, if there was ever a Holocaust on Hispanics, like, you probably wouldn't be mistaken for Hispanic. And it just, I mean, that was a weird thing to hear as a kid, but I think, like, parents of minorities have to, like, make their kids more aware of stuff like that. They don't have the luxury to, like, shelter their children in the same way that other people do.
I don't know if there was ever a moment where I first realized that I was different. I just kind of, I mean, you can look at skin color pretty obvious and like, oh, well, you're black, I'm white. But like I grew up in a household where like that never made a difference. Like I was friends with black people, I was friends with Hispanics, I was friends with white people. So me personally, I never saw skin color as them being a different person. I thought like that was like the way they were made, but I never saw it as like they acted differently because of their skin color.
I was actually listening to this TED Talk like yesterday, I think, and it was this guy who went around the United States and like lived in like the whitest like places in America, and he kind of is a black guy, and he talks about his experience there. And in one of the experiences, he like actually crashed like a Aryan retreat. So like, you know, just a bunch of like people that we typically are like, oh, white supremacists. And like an interesting thing that he talked about was that this Aryan guy was like, hey, I want you to know I'm not a white supremacist, I'm a white separatist. Like, I don't hate you, I just don't want to be around you. And I think that that's kind of where we are a lot of times in this country. Like, no one's going to be like, well, I hate them and they're worse and I don't think I'm better than you, but they also don't want to be around you. And they also want, the way that they define like success in a lot of ways, and this is not everyone, but this, I guess with that mentality of racism, is like, we want better schools, we want better this, we want better that, and a lot of times that looks like excluding minorities because of what that perception is or because of what they are typically associated with. And he talked a lot about like something that he heard a lot was like, you know, one black guy, like him being a black guy, is like one black guy at a dinner party is like a guest, but like 50 is like the ghetto.
Well, race and ethnicity share an ideology of common ancestry, but also differ because race is socially imposed. While there can be one race, there are also multiple ethnic groups within that race. Essentially, for example, you can be either black or white, but you can also be white and Polish or Irish, or black and Nigerian or Ghanaian. Those are different types of ethnicities. Racism is the belief that characteristics and abilities can be attributed to people simply on the basis of their race, and that some racial groups are superior to others. Racism and discrimination have been used as powerful weapons encouraging fear or hatred of others in times of conflict and war, and even during economic downturns.